Okay, yes. Welcome and come well to another episode of Am I as I am, as you are. Today's episode, we're going to touch upon the principle of manifestation pertaining to relationship aspect, companionship, partnership, mates. So we're going to touch upon basically manifestation and relational connection to that way of understanding. And understanding in a way is basically based upon, hold on 1 second, is basically based upon who is this mate, who is this individual I call my significant other, or I call the other half of it. Who is she? Who is he? Really? How did they appear? Where did they come from? How did this phenomenon happen? And just take it to a little more deeper understanding based upon that. So what is manifestation? Did I manifest this individual? This individual manifest me? Was this a simultaneous manifestation? Or a simultaneous act of manifestation? Does she exist really on the outside? Does she exist within me? Does he really exist over there? Or does he exist within me? Is this a quality of me? Or an aspect of me? Or an energy form of me? Or is it really just them and their individual beingness? Or their person? And this is the understanding that we're going to go into as far as today's episode. Who and what is this individual, which I call an individual? Is this individual part of something collective within me? Is this being really on the outside, or is this being on the inside? Projecting itself on the outside for me to interact and interface with in order to touch a deeper aspect within me. Okay, so this is basically understanding we're going to go into briefly. It's not really a long episode today, because I got other things to do as well. I told you I have a book coming out. It's called 1 + 1 = 1. And it's based upon these very videos which I'm posting up, and these principles which I touch upon, and these aspects which I'm touching upon it with, coming from all different kinds of spectrums of understanding and overstanding this thing that we call a union, or uniting, or a cohesion between two individuals. But is it really two? Or is it really one? Because remember, this whole thing, even when you look back upon ancestors and back upon what they worshipped or what they gave their attention and focus into, was these gods and goddesses. And every god had a goddess aspect to it. Every goddess had a god aspect to it. So is this an androgyny? Is this something based upon androgyny? Or is it really just him and her and him? Is there really two? Is it actually just one thing? That's the understanding that we're going to right now. Okay, and as you know the process, you know the format, how we do this, line for line. As these lines open up, I open up these channels according to these lines which I wrote down, come within home, and stay within them, and project whatever's coming to me from here forth. Okay? So, the first line is manifestation, realization, recognition, and knowing. So the topic is manifestation. The three principles of this first line, the first doorway, is realization, recognition, and knowing. Are you realizing who and what is in front of you? Do you recognize what just happened? Do you know where you're at and how things operate here in this dimension? do you realize, recognize, and know? Because once you realize, recognize, and know all that is here, all that is, then you can understand why this acquaintance happened and who that individual truly is. So keep in mind that you have to realize and recognize and know how things are here in this dimension that we currently exist in. You have to have a knowing of. You have to realize things as they are. You have to recognize when things come across you, across your path, what it is that is coming across my path, and why is it in front of me? Why am I introduced to it, and why is it introducing itself to me? What truly is going on within this acquaintance and this interaction between me and another? And that's the whole point to recognize. Realize what's going on, recognize the individual, which is yourself, and you know that this is yourself that you will interact with and interface with in this moment. It's really windy out here, so blowing the wind at the moment. The camera might go back and forth and shaking at the moment. But this is basically the forces that are at hand right now that's governing this whole episode right now, talking to you guys. And as you can see, the symbology and the imagery of the couple. So you have to realize what's going on. You have to recognize what it is, and you have to know how this thing operates. So just keep that in mind as we go along, okay? And I'll fill that in as we move along this episode. Okay. Okay. So the next story is, according to our sexual organs, the penis fitting into the vagina is an example of the manifestation fitting perfectly into itself. This is why we have the stick and hole and stick dynamic. Not only are we meeting at mind, not only are we meeting at communication, but we're also meeting in sexuality and intimacy, what we call intercourse. So everything is trying to perfectly fit into itself. What is this fitting that is happening? Why is it trying to fit itself into itself? What is the purpose of this fitting happening? This fitting occurring? It's trying to complete itself in order to free itself. You see, it basically happens, it's doing it to keep itself puzzled and to become the completed puzzle within its own puzzlement, within its own puzzling. So the individual is the puzzle which it keeps itself puzzled within. But within this puzzling, it has to become the perfect puzzle between two individual puzzle pieces. But understand that these two individual puzzle pieces create the completed puzzle. But until then, it keeps itself puzzled of itself, as itself, by itself, most importantly, because it's very important. It's all about androgyny. It's all about the one. If you say that two are there, well, there's only two because the validation, two is only validating the confirmation of the one. What is keeping these two people together? What is it? And that's the whole understanding of the one thing which is keeping the two things together. When there's two things together, it also looks like the number one when it's sideways. It is the number one. And that's where we're constantly receding back to that number one. Because that number one will recede back to the zero, the nothingness, the emptiness, which you truly are. Okay? So, I was saying before, the penis fitting into the vagina, this whole stick and hole and stick reality, which we currently are experiencing and exist within, is based upon the perfect fitting, which is trying to basically create the perfect elixir, the perfect alchemical component, which in other words is the marriage or the marriaging of two chemistries in order to create the perfect formula. The perfect formula for self-liberation and freedom, mentally, emotionally, biologically, psychologically, however many ways you categorize yourself and break yourself into and fan yourself into. But understand that these many folds of the fan is all within one fan or fanning. So no matter how many twos and threes and fours and fives, these things are only validating the confirmation of the one, or only confirming the validation of the one, or only validating and referencing the one aspect to bring you back to your one, so that that one can bring you back to your nothing or your zero. Okay? But once you understand this, you're not going to get so personal and involve your personality and your identity and let it interfere, interrupt what you are having or sharing with this other individual. And you start to make that other individual a part of your collective state. But when you do that, turn inward. It's about a self-reflection. That's what spirituality is about. It's about self-reflection. So if what you're doing is not making you turn yourself back upon you, or making you self-reflect or reflect back upon yourself, then you are doing something incorrect, or you are just diving and engaging into the physical aspects of your experience that derives from your true existence. Nothing wrong or right to it. But you ultimately have to supersede your human experience to recede back to your spiritual existence. And that's where that 2 leads to the 1, and the 1 leads to the 0. And the 0 is what it is, what it always has been, always will be. Regardless of who and what you engage with into and what you're doing, there's always that being aspect, regardless of what you're doing. So just never lose attention and focus of your beingness, no matter how much you're doing something or doing something with someone. Okay, something to keep your mind at heart. Mind at heart as you move forward and work. Better words. Okay. The next doorway is, what exactly attracted and drawn you to them? What is it exactly that attracted and drawn you to that other individual, to that person? And it's funny how they have something or some things that you truly want, need, and desire. Why? Because you created them. So when you understand that you actually created this other individual, who and what are you arguing with or creating friction with or conflict with? But this is actually a component of you. This is an aspect of you. What is attraction? What is being drawn? These are magnetic qualities. A magnet means it's bringing itself back to itself. It's a completion, bringing something back to itself, which seemed or was seemingly as something distant, which had to travel from one point to the next. But in actuality, there is no travel. There is no distance. Because whatever we see as distant or travel or journey is actually meeting or trying to meet itself to become one. See, so being drawn or being attracted, these are magnetic qualities. And when this magnet hits, electricity happens, which is the electric component of magnetic quality. Then it begins to radiate, it begins to illuminate, it begins to emanate. But until that happens, there is no illumination, radiation, or emanation occurring or happening. Because the two, which are illusion, have not become the one reality or don't realize and recognize their one reality. And don't know of self. This is the whole catch-22 or catch-23 or catch-21. This is the whole point what it's about. You actually created them and they actually created you. They are a creation of you and you are a creation of them. You created each other within your needs, wants, and desires. That's the whole point. And if you know that they are a part of you and you are a part of them internally through the alchemical innards which you are composed of, then wouldn't you want to make that as right as possible, as balanced as possible? Because they are you and you are them, so why would you want to cause friction or poison or toxify that which is you? See? So this brings your attention that you think you have on them back upon you. This is the whole point. The whole point is to make this interaction and interfacing with these individuals, with him or with her, to turn it back upon you. Because it is you that you are talking to. It is you that you are communicating with. It is you which you are being intimate with. It is you which are having intercourse with yourself to bring you back to you. The perfect fitting. The perfected fitting. Psychologically, biologically, intimately. Perfect fitting. All levels are secure. But all levels have been activated. Now all levels have been activated. This three point, this trifecta, the triangle becomes complete. The penis, the womb, the intersecting or intersection of these 3 points, which become the 6, which is why you have sex. Okay? Understand that. Okay, the next doorway or next line is everything comes from the nucleus outward. Comes from the nucleus outward. So why wouldn't that person in front of you actually come from somewhere deep inside of you? You know the saying, which I was just building with someone about before. Everything works its way out. That's a saying. Everything works its way out. Like when people say, oh, don't worry about that. That'll work out. Oh, that'll work out. Don't give so much emphasis to that. Everything will work itself out. That's a literal term and a figurative term. Everything works its way out. Even in relation to the beating of the heart and the vibration of the internal. The beating of the heart, it's beating because it's making its way out and it's spreading across. So this beating happens from an internal or nucleus and works its way out or works its way outward. So everything internal becomes external. So what is that external thing which you're interacting with? Is it something internal or is it actually something which is on the outside? That's a part of the realization. You have to recognize who and what is that person or that thing or that individual which is in front of you, which is in front of you. You both have black pupils. I have black pupils. She has black pupils. When I look into her, I'm looking into myself. When she looks into me, she's looking into herself. We're looking into the darkness and deepness and hidden aspects of each other when we meet eye to eye. Because eye to eye also means eye to eye, which is the letter I. It's the letter I. And the letter I, the capital letter I, is closed on top, is closed on the bottom. And there's that middle pillar, which creates the ultimate completion, which is the small I with the dot on top. Dot is the pineal. All letters are symbolic. Everything is about symbology. That's why it's called the alphabet. Alpha, beta. Different forms of mind. Alpha, beta, theta, delta, gamma. Alphabet, alpha, beta. Symbols. The mind thinks in symbols and imagery and animation and movement and sound. It's a simple damn thing. Okay? I want to get too more deeper into that because this video could last for a very long time. But I want to touch into the simple aspects for now. And there's going to be more progressing videos where I'm going to be talking and interacting with people. It's going to be a split screen at times. I'm going to be here, they're going to be here, I'm going to be here, they're going to be here. It's going to be also conversations I'm going to have with people in person while I'm talking to them in front of the camera, talking to me in front of the camera. I might just have people on speaker while I'm conversing with them and talking to the camera as well and conveying to you what I'm receiving within that moment of that interaction, of that conversation. So these videos will mature and grow and progress within time, space, and moment. Okay? Just to understand as well, everything from the nucleus extends itself outward. It's also even in the example of sickness, right? When you're ill, the illness derives from a centralized internal nucleus of some sort and finds its way outward or to the surface. In order to be identified by the being, giving signal to the being to go back internal to seek its cause or source of happening. Right? So when you become sick or ill, or you're not feeling too good, or you want to balance something inside yourself, you have to go to somebody who knows the internal, has knowledge of the internal. And when you're sick on the outside, whether it be a runny nose, whether you're sneezing, whether you have a headache or fever or ammonia, it's deriving from somewhere internal. This is why you have to take herbs, certain nutrition, medicine or medicinals, because something which was external seek this way or derive from something which was internal. So until you know where that internal is happening at, you will always be lost in the external or the outward, because you haven't found out where the source of that outward thing is within your inward. Once again, make an example of that person which is outside of you. Is not to be that person outside of you, is to find where is that person which is outside of you, inside of you. Because that person is a part of your organ, which is why she can organize you, or he can organize you, or put you into a certain kind of organization within your life and your lifestyle of some sort. This all comes with basically a knowledge of self. You have to have a knowledge of self.
You don't want to fall into the water, okay?
It's a must. Okay? Understand, overstand. The next line is, anything and everything can only manifest and create from being given extreme detail and definition. Extreme detail and definition is the only way that something can manifest itself. Extreme detail and definition by the mind and being, or basically by the mind and being. Sometimes you need and want so deeply that you may even forget or lose track of what it is and what it was you truly and honestly need and want in your reality. that you yourself spoke of and thought of at one time or time and time again. So, extreme detail and definition means that you actually truly want something to happen and you know what you want and you create it with your mind and it happens. Or you start to move towards that. You project something and your projection is catching up to that hologram of what you project mentally. And you project that your need and want itself is extreme definition and detail. It's already detailing and defining itself within the geometry of your needs and wants. And this is the whole principle, what you call desire and possession and desire. You desire something, you're going to possess it. As soon as you desire it, it's on its way to you possessing it. That's the whole point. That's the whole circle, the whole point and circle, the whole circle and point of what we're talking about. Which is your I. Which is your I. See? So, but understand too, what some people say, well, I have somebody I want and somebody I'm with, but at the same time, they possess kind of traits and personalities which are not serving me, which are not kind of with what I'm with. It doesn't actually kind of meet up and align and synchronize with me. So what is going on? You have to understand that what you are basically is you're creating something within yourself that may not be beneficial to you, but beneficial of you, and you may actually be projecting that outside of you, which is that hologram or that person that you call a person outside of you. But it's actually a holographic quality which you have actually created consciously and or unconsciously within yourself. So the question to ask yourself is not why is he this way or why is she that way? That's not working for me. The question to ask yourself is, what is it within me that I'm working against myself? Because that person may actually have taken on traits and qualities and forces or energies that are of no benefit to me because I'm doing something which is toxic to myself. And they may very well be the animation aspect of that quality. So these are certain things that you have to recognize and realize within yourself before you try to blame it or point it at somebody else. Because it's actually you. Take responsibility and accountability. Very important. It's very relevant. Right? Don't lose aspect of that. Don't lose focus of that. Pardon me. Very important. Okay, pardon me. This is my line as well. This is the face to the logo. And subliminal symbol. And this is also the clothing line which I'm wearing. Of course, I left the website. I'll leave the information underneath this video. Everything is within alignment. Clothing line, video, book that's being written. Everything remains in this trifecta. This constant trifecta. In and out, in and out. Penis into the vagina. Penis into the vagina. Vagina giving access to the penis. The vagina giving access to the penis. The intersecting triangles. Everything is a sex of this reality. Okay? Everything connects and communicates, which keeps life coming about. So that's what you call reproduction for a baby or a fetus or an embryo, an infant or a child. Okay? Just want to make that clear. Okay, the next line in doorway is, not too many more. We're all magicians. Manifesting magicians. But here in this reality, what you call manifesting is an every moment thing. It happens every moment. So in reality, there's really nothing magical about it. It's as normal as breathing. That's how normal manifesting is. Some people call it magic. Oh, that's magical. That's amazing. How did that happen? Wow. You get stuck in awe. You get stuck in wow. You get stuck in amazement. Amaze. If you look at your brain, it has lines and indents and folds and all kind of stuff in there. And it looked like a maze. So when you become amazed by your mind, you get stuck within the maze of the brain, which means now you come back to a low vibrational state of existence within your experience. So there's nothing to be amazed by. There's nothing to be wowed by or awed by. It is as it is. Okay? So we're magicians in that way of understanding. But there truly is nothing magical about doing this. I seen this video, exactly how I look, and exactly how the background is before I created this video. I manifested this moment before this moment was actually here in the now. And I seen it in extreme detail and definition, everything. And then I created it because I knew it resided within me, in my mind. So being in the moment, you can make the moment a slave to you. It's here at the command and demand of you, because it is you. Only if you know that you are it, then you create that connection, you create that alignment, that synchronicity. All that is because you are all that is, and all that was, and all that ever. Okay? So, let's go into the next line or dimension. Next doorway is, are you accepting your inheritance? Are you accepting your divine treasure? Or are you resisting it and throwing it back? This is in relation to your mate. Mate is actually a material. Material from where? How? From what? You materialize something which wasn't a material or matter to begin with. So your mate is your matter. Your matter is something that you materialize, which wasn't materialized until you materialized it. That is what mate means. Mate is connected to matter. Matter is connected to materialization. You materialize something. You actualize something that was factualized within you. You made something which was just energy and forces and principle, and you created this projection or this hologram. That's how true it is. Let's create this which became a matter, a form of matter, because you materialized it. That is what a mate is. Something that was brought forth into matter from that which wasn't matter to begin with. But that thing that wasn't matter mattered to you. Your need, want, and desire matters to you. So if it matters, it materializes. So you don't want to be with him or be with her because they're like this or they're like that. Are you resisting what is being thrown to you, your divine inheritance, your divine treasure? She is your treasure. He is your treasure that was given to you by you. Do you realize, recognize, and know what's going on in this moment? You are a god and or goddess. Be responsible. Once you become aware, you know now you have to be responsible. You have to take on a responsibility, a divine responsibility. But are you responsible? Don't throw them back. Don't throw her back. Don't throw him back. You receive your inheritance. She is your inheritance. He is your inheritance. She is your treasure. He is your treasure. There's something that they have that you are supposed to extract or reflect or mimic or become. Are you reflecting, interacting, extracting, and becoming these qualities before you give it back or before you move along your path according to your own specific divine calling? Are you learning from what's going on? You bring about and bring forth an answered call or calling. You answer your own call, and that answering is an individual who's in front of you. An other, another, an other, which means something which is you. It's just an other you. That is what the word another is referring to and what it means. There's many different ways of manifesting. Matter of fact, there's 3 prime ways of manifesting. Speak it into existence, write it into existence, think it into existence, and it shall be. It will be, because it is. Am I as I am, as you are. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, I'll keep you in vision. 1, 0.